ride a Buckeye and white sycamore. I'm leaving you greenland. Oh, well, I've been a coal miner all of my life, laying down track in a hole. I got a back like ironwood, blood veins as blue as a coal. Somebody said that's a strange tattoo you have on the side of your head. I said that's the mark of our Pennsylvania coal.
Just to give you a quick rundown on who EPCAMR is and what our organization is. It's a nonprofit environmental organization. We were founded all the way back in 1995, and what we were doing was building partnerships with organizations like county conservation districts. Every county has a conservation district in Pennsylvania except for Philadelphia. And in those conservation districts, they have staff that are dealing with lots of different environmental programs. They'll deal with agricultural programs, best management practices, stream restoration, stream bank erosion, BMPs, best management practices on farms. But then they'll also look at mining impacts as well, and environmental education and outreach. So they're one of our major partners and constituents of our organization as a nonprofit. But then we also partner with groups like the Intersite Council and the Coal Association, groups that already have mining impacts in the past and utilize that site as a potential for generation of electricity through solar networks that can also power and create jobs in the local community. So there's an effort underway, and there's different companies that are out there that actually take the pigment and they actually use it for manufacturing. So there are color companies like Hoover Color Corporation that has a pigment industry, and they take the raw pigment from these mine drainage discharges. And one of the companies we work with, they help us during our cleanups, and they do, it's Mohantongo, scrap tire recycling. They're in Liverpool, they're not too far. And they actually take the iron oxide and they mix it in with some of their mulch. So they create rubber mulch. And with that, use it for pottery glazes. So a lot of artists that are actually potters will create a pottery glaze, and they'll fire it in different, they call it cone 5, cone 6, but we do have programs where we'll do tie-dye t-shirts. So a lot of the iron oxide can be used when we do our programs with the kids in the schools. Just going to pass around the pigment so you can see it. Here's a packet of the pigment, the iron oxide, and it's just like a cake mix or a flour consistency. And then there was a coal breaker that sat here, and this is called the Huber breaker up in Ashley, Pennsylvania. You can see it sized differently, and the maps here, as you flip through them, they show what are the different names of different coal veins. So there's the kidney vein, and you can see how much of it started to be mined out. And if you go to the second one, you'll see the Hillman vein, and it starts to get water.
I got a back like ironwood bent by the wind. My vein is blue as a coal. Woo! Hey, I always like starting with a song. So, you are on the upper deck now to learn a little bit about the history of coal, who mined it, where they mined it, some of the geology. You got the acid mine drainage and the science behind it from my friend Bobby Hughes downstairs, so that's great. Now you get the fresh air. Sorry there's no air conditioning, but it's kind of a nice thing. My name is Wagner. I'm from Danville, Pennsylvania. I'm a school teacher. I'm an ag teacher in Danville now, but I am a former coal miner. I worked in Schuylkill County. In the coal mine I worked in, I'm the last one left alive. Everybody I worked with is gone. And so it's given me kind of an urgency to get out there and talk about this history and keep it alive. Let me tell you what this is. So let's start with a little geology. The coal we're talking about is bituminous coal. And I'm not going to pass it around because it's kind of dirty, but it is up here if you want to handle it later. This is soft coal. And all points west and a couple points north of this spot is where you find soft coal, bituminous coal. All points east and up the north branch of the Susquehanna, that's anthracite. Similar but different. This coal is mostly flat pitch. Okay, the coal mine I worked in was not flat pitch. So if you've ever toured the Ashland Pioneer Coal Mine tour and you've seen the coal and these steep angles, that's the kind of mine I worked in. That's not what they had up here in English Center and Renova and other coal mining towns out there, Clearfield. Way sun didn't shine. I picked up my shovel and I walked to the mine. I loaded 16 tons of Pennsylvania coal, and the foreman said, well, bless your soul. I loaded 16 tons, and what did I get? Another day older and deeper in debt. Oh, St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the, who knows it, company stores. The miners had to pay for their own explosives, and so you paid for that black powder. So you owe us $1.50 for that. The oil that was in your lamp, in the old days they burned whale oil, minus 75 cents. Oh, and your pick and your drill were sharpened by the company blacksmith, minus 50 cents. And you live in a home owned by the company. You owe us rent. Do you have questions for me? Oh, come on, you gotta have it. There we go.
What's the pros and cons between anthracite and bituminous coal?
Yeah, let's answer it this way. What is the difference? Let's start with that. Anthracite coal is about 98% carbon, 3% other, 2% other. Bituminous coal is about 80% carbon, 20% other. So more BTUs in anthracite, less pollutants, with one big exception, carbon dioxide. And when it comes to carbon dioxide, they're both pretty bad. Bituminous coal is what most industry uses, not because it's better, there's more of it. It's a lot. Any other questions? You're a fun group. I like your questions. Let's close with a song. Looks like we have about 200 feet. Most musicians, they tell you how much time you have left. Here they say, you got 200 feet left. Let's sing Centralia. I haven't written one about Centralia. The hard-working miner, his dangers are great, and many while working have met their sad fate. While doing their duty like all miners do, shut out from their loved ones and darlings once too. The miner is gone, we'll see him no more. God be with that miner where'er he may roam. God pity the miner, protect him as well. His mining's all over, poor miner, farewell. That was sung at a coal miner's funeral in the 1860s in Mount Carmel. And I've always thought it was a pretty song. The miners are still out there. If you're lucky enough to have one in your family, please stick a phone in their face and video them. Get their stories. Because when they die, they take their stories with them. They really do. So I'm out there almost on a weekly basis trying to interview some of these folks and just capture their stories. They're amazing stories. I only did it for a year, and they're my top lifetimes. Like when I'm going to be a granddad someday, and they go, "Granddad, tell me stories." I'll be telling my